Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're going to make card boxes. Now the reason for this is someone asked me if I'd be willing to show how to make a box to put A2 size cards in to give as a gift. Now this is nothing new, it is all over the internet. You can go look and see all different kinds of people making these in all different kinds of ways. They even use the envelope punch board to do them. But what I thought I'd do today is show you how to make them in two different styles. So if you like the traditional box that is just a box lid in the box, I'm even going to tell you how to extend this out so that if you want it to go all the way to the bottom it can, but I'll tell you that as we get going. But this box is 2 inches deep, and when you open it up it's big enough to hold A2 size cards, and the lid is slightly larger than the box so that it sits on there good. And I just did a little a gift for you stamp right there. And then this one, if you remember, these are those bookmark cards I made. I actually have 2 in here, and there's plenty of room for more. I could probably put about 4 in here total. But the lid on this one is acetate, so there is a lid. You can see how it's not coming out in my hands and not going through. There's an acetate lid with a little bow holding it together, and it's just a little box. Now I want to tell you this. I am not per se using a very sturdy cardstock today for the video, but if you ever wonder where's a good place to use the heavier cardstocks, like the 110-pound cardstock, this is a good place to use them. So let's get started. Let's make this guy first, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the acetate version. Now, I do want to let you know, like I said, there are these all over the internet, and there's multiple people who have made them like this. Some that make them with the lid portion, some that wear it all the way, it goes all the way down to the bottom. You just do whatever you want to do with that, but here's how I'm going to do it. All right, you need some papers first, and I've cut several different ones because we're gonna use this for the acetate box. We're gonna use this for this box. Now I probably wouldn't use white for the base of this one, but I think it's gonna show up better for me to show you the scoring, so that's where we're gonna use it. Now these two pieces of paper, the first size you're gonna need, the big size, which is the base of your box, is gonna be 8.5 by 9 3/4. Okay, and then this one here, which is the lid of the box, is 6 5/8 by 7 7/8. So we're going to start with the bottom first. Now you'll need your scoring board or a ruler. You can just do this with a ruler if you don't have a scoreboard. Just lay your ruler down and use the end of a pen or anything. I'm so considering doing a craft hack video. Would y'all like that if I did something like that? Let me know. Something where I can show you other ways of scoring and other ways of getting things done. Now on this piece of paper, we're going to score it 2 inches all the way around. So we're scoring it 2 inches and then flipping the page 1 turn, so that when we finish, we'll have this scored 2 inches all the way around. There are times when I tell you when it's time to score something that you don't need to necessarily burnish it because we're only wanting to go 90 degrees and not flat. But on these boxes, I find that you need to burnish these score lines. They just hold their shape better. I'm not sure why, because they're still only folded 90 degrees, but they get a little wiggly if you don't do a nice crease. So go ahead, fold on your score lines and crease them really, really nice. Ooh, that one didn't want to fold. This is a heavier cardstock, by the way. The lids that I'm using and the next base is not quite as heavy as this one. Now, we're going to do some cutting, and it's not really unusual. You've probably seen this a lot going on in different videos, but we're going to come down here, and as you notice, you've got your long square, or your long rectangle here, a longer rectangle here, and a square here. We're going to cut up on this fold right here. We're basically making a flap that will fold in and adhere to make this a square, make it a box, okay? So I'm going to cut straight down on my score line to start. So I'll end up just like this, just cutting it straight down. You can stop there if you want, okay? You don't have to do this next part, but I like to do a little notch, and I'm doing the notch on the smaller flap, not the larger flap, and I'm going to show you why right here. We're not even going to wait to talk about it. Here's why. When you fold this in, if you don't cut this notch, you end up with some bulk at the bottom where you want this to not be bulky, okay? This way, you're able to make a nice, clean, square folded edge, and you can kind of push that in until you get it and not have it flapping up at the top. See how clean that's going to be? That's why you do that little notch right on the inside to give you that play, that little bit of leeway. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to notch the top of this one. You don't have to. On the smaller one, I'm going to. On the bigger one, it doesn't seem to get in the way. So here's what we're doing again. We're going to cut straight up, and not on the big piece, because this is the outside of the box, but on this side, cut your little notch. Okay, I did this one bigger so I think you can see it better because I did that one kind of thin. So you can see how that notch goes in. Okay, just make sure you do it on the piece that's going to be hidden and not the piece that's going to show. So straight up, do our notch. You can see how it just takes the bulk out of the fold. That's really all this is doing. This is not something I have done for a long time either. This is actually something I saw someone else doing and thinking, that's genius. Because so many times I end up with a box that I felt like was a little bit messy because I couldn't get those folds just right. And this fixes that. Now you're going to put your adhesive on these inside flaps. And I'm just going to use my art glitter glue. Now because I'm using art glitter glue and it dries so fast, I can only do one flap at a time. So we're going to do this flap and then I'll come back and do the others. But what I do is I pick that up and I look at the outer edge. I'm not even paying attention to anything but this outer edge to make sure I get a nice, crisp, clean edge. Then, if I need to wiggle it anywhere, I can do that. See how clean that is? Cutting that notch out really helps. So let's add glue to this notch. You can do this with sticky tape or with... I wouldn't do ATG for a gift because I'm afraid it might not hold up for you. But a wet glue or a nice sticky strip of some sort that you use, like I use that sticky tape from Punch Place Plus. That's a really good one for something like this. Now look how clean that is. See how clean and neat with no little popped up pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and be brave and put it on both of these since I'm on this end. Let's just see what happens. Let's be brave. If it doesn't work, you'll learn from my mistake. Alright, so line this guy up and seal it shut. Then line this guy up and seal it down. So there is our 2-inch wide card box base. Now let's build the top for it. We do the top very much the same. We just have a little bit of a scoring difference. So here's what you do. Put this in your scoreboard, and you're going to score this one at 1 inch all the way around. Okay. Score it, flip it, score it. It's just one turn, so you're getting 1 inch on every single corner, on every single edge. Okay. Now I told you on this one I was going to do something a little bit different. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and do all of my fold lines and score them, burnish them really, really well so they're nice and crisp. I want to show you guys something that I realized from one of my Sunday school students, which I think this is awesome. They couldn't fold their lines straight. They kept struggling with that, and I want to show you. If you'll take your bone folder and sit it into the center and press out, and then the center and press out, you get a much straighter fold without the wiggle. You know what I'm talking about, where sometimes this end will be thinner than this end. Even when we score, sometimes we have that problem. And I learned that in Sunday school. I was teaching one of the girls how to make a straight fold, and she said, I never knew that. It just seems to work better if you start from the middle and work your way out. I don't have to do that on all paper, but this paper has that printing on it. It's not really part of the paper. It sits on top, so it makes the paper real stiff. And so I think it works better to do it that way. All right, now let's do the trimming. All right, we're going to do the same thing on these little notches. We're going to cut straight up and then cut out a notch. So we're going to do that on every single one like we just did. But one thing different we're going to do here is we're going to cut another small angle from the outside edge right to the score line, okay? I'm going to sit that down so you can see that. When we do that, it takes some of the bulk out of the top as well. And when we're working with something really small like this, that really allows us to get a nice, neat, clean fold here with nothing sticking up on this side, which is what we want, a nice, clean look. So we're going to do that everywhere. So I'm going to do it here. And again, I'm going to cut this little notch out of this side. And then over here. Making sure your notch is on the flap that's going to be on the inside, not on the outside. You don't want to notch the outside of the box. Just makes it look cleaner and neater if all the notches are on the inside. This is a great, great, great thing to have for a gift. I'm telling you, people love to get the homemade cards we make, and when you have these little boxes to put them in, it's super cute. Especially if, I almost said specially because that's how we say it around here, especially if you make the card and the box out of the same paper pack. Think how unique that gift is and how neat that would be for somebody to get and not know how you did it. Like, oh, that's so cool how the card and everything matches. Glue on the flaps. line them up, and see, with having that notch that we cut in, we don't have any of that bulk we have to get rid of. We just get a nice, clean, professional looking box. Love it. And that's all there is to it. And look how clean and neat by doing those notches. I think it looks awesome. So now this guy goes on top of our base that we just did. And I'm glad I did it in the two colors so you can really see the difference. You can adjust these numbers any way you need to. All you need to do is make sure this center number stays the same. The base and the top numbers need to stay the same. That's what I did. I just played with these side numbers. Okay? Alright, so there's that box. Now let's make the other one real quick, the acetate box. We're going to do it very, very, very much the same. Let's see. We'll start with the base. That is this. We're going to score it 1 inch all the way around. And I'm going to actually use my bone folder this time. I feel like on this paper that's printed, I get a better impression than using my this dotting style tool. I get a better impression with this one on this kind of paper. Alright, so that one is scored and ready to go. And while I've got it here, I'm going to go ahead and do the acetate, which is also scored 1 inch in all the way around. Now, that dotting tool does not work on the acetate at all. It just kind of makes 2 lines, and it doesn't give me a score. So it kind of sits on the top, so I definitely have to use the bone folder for it. I tried it with that little dotting tool because I love using that to score with, but it just didn't give me the same results. You can see those nice creases in there. Much better result. Alright, let's move this guy out of the way. And let's start with the base, since that's going to be the first thing. Now, note to you guys, this base is the very same as this lid we just did, which I've already hidden for myself. How bad is that? Okay, this base and this lid are the same. The difference is my pattern is going to be on the inside of the box instead of the outside, where here I put the pattern on the outside, okay, instead of the inside. The reason for that is I'm using a clear top, so I want you to be able to see it. So the other thing we're going to do is we're just going to do that single notch on the inside of our fold. But you know what? I should probably fold this first. Let's do that. Oh goodness, because if I don't, I will be fighting with it. Okay. Go ahead and fold on all your score lines. And remember, I'm folding the pretty side out. Now, if you have double-sided paper, this won't even matter. You can just use, you know, whatever you got. Because I'm using single-sided paper and I want that pattern on the inside, it matters. Okay, so I'm slicing up, making the notch on the smaller flap because it'll be hidden. It won't be on the outside of the box. I personally like the acetate box. I think it's really pretty and it looks like something you'd buy in the store. And I think when you put your cards in it, they look awesome because you can just really see them very well. Alright, it's time to glue this guy into place. Just put this just like this and just line those corners up nice and neat. I like to sit it down on the table to help me line them up too. I think that really works if you can do that. Just kind of push down and line it up where it works. Now you have a couple of options on the clear acetate. We're still going to do the slice, but we're not going to notch. So I want to make sure I say that clear. I'm going to slice that very same corner, but I'm not going to make a notch. I'm going to leave it full like that. So slice one of the smaller square portions, the same one all the way around. It always looks better if you do that. So where I'm doing the inside ones, it just looks better to do that on both sides. Now, I don't know if you've ever bought one of these from the store that had these clear boxes, or these clear lids, but a lot of times they're not adhered together. They're just tucked in. And I'm going to show you that option first, and then we'll look at a different option. I do not like messing with folding this acetate. It's hard to get it straight every time, and sometimes I find that I kind of recreate a fold instead of actually using the one I did. But I'm trying really hard to keep it where it should be. So let's do it like that. I love the way it looks in the end, but I don't love working with it. It's a little fiddly. I guess I'm spoiled with paper because paper just lays down and does whatever you tell it to do, basically. Alright, now I'm going to fold these little notches in. You can do all the folding before you cut. For some reason on the acetate I like to not do it that way. I feel like I can get to my fold better by doing the slices first. You just do whatever feels comfortable. Last one. Just like that. Okay, so you can see how it kind of lends itself to fold up anyway. So you do not have to do anything but just slide this into your box and just tuck it in. It's a little fiddly at first, but when you have your cards in there and everything, it's nice and sturdy, and it'll just sit in there. So when you tie that bow around it, you get a nice, professional looking box. Now, I'm going to show you what I did to mine so you probably didn't notice it because it's tucked in. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and untie it so I can show you. I went ahead and added some adhesive to the acetate, and I don't like the way it looks. You can see it because it's clear, right? But I also looked at some professional packaging that was made with acetate, and you could see their adhesive too. So I don't feel too bad about that since I'm not the only one that's, got some adhesive showing. No big deal. But when you put it into here, into the container, you don't see it at all because, I guess I need to get my finger out of there first. Because once it's in here and down like it should be, there we go, then you don't see any of that adhesive in there. So if you want to put it in there, that's fine. If you don't, you're going to tie a bow around it anyway with your cards in it, and I don't think you have to. So there you go. That's two different styles of boxes. That's the acetate style box, and that is the bigger, thicker style box. Or you can do the thinner style too, remember. Because you can just adjust that width any old way you want to. Alright guys, there you go. That's a quick way of making a couple boxes. Now I have also seen people do these with the envelope punch board, so do a little research. Look online. I searched A2 size card boxes when I started looking, and this is what I came up with. So I hope you guys enjoy them. I really gotta think these are my favorite. These feel like something you'd buy at Hallmark to me, so I really like them. Hey, thanks for watching guys. I'll see you guys on Wednesday where I'll be doing my review of the 1-2-3 punch board from We Are Memory Keepers, and got some interesting stuff to tell you. Maybe not interesting, but for me it is. So come back on Wednesday for that review, and then we will talk and craft together again. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.